Hello there, every pony, and welcome to episode 11 of the Brony Bookclub. Can you believe this crap? We are at episode 11. This doesn't make any sense. This week, we're talking about tragedy fics, and we have on for our guest, Mr. Cavonde, author of the Blue Blood trilogy, as I like to call it.
Oh, thank you. There's different Blue Blood stories, and I think there's more than one trilogy, but I will accept that with grace. Thank you.
Alrighty then. So, let's start off, like every week, except for last, but never mind, that's a fluke. We're going to have our guest answer some questions. First off, what tag do you see on a fanfic that really makes you want to read it?
I know, I listening to some of your guys' episodes, everybody says comedy, and so I wanted to avoid that, but comedy is one of them. But adventure actually is another one that, like, you don't see a lot of, really. I mean, you see it on some stuff, but it's never really adventure by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of that. If it says adventure and it's not, a slice of life. I don't really know what I'm going for here, but yeah, adventure is a tag that also kind of catches my interest.
Yeah, I like adventure occasionally. I don't know why, but I'm just a lot of the time I'll be start reading adventure, but yeah, this is not working for me. There have been some really great ones, but usually it's kind of a hit or miss for me.
Well, heck, this fic itself actually goes.
Yeah,
it's pretty adventurous as it goes along.
That's definitely true. What tag will you see on something that really makes you not want to read it? What's your least favorite tag?
I gotta go with human. Also, I don't have a huge inherent bias against it. I'm a big fan of Chingor Kordath's the Dresden Felice is the other one. He has My Little Denarians, because there's two ongoing Dresden fics. But
one of them is a guest/friend of the show, which is the Dresden Phillies, and I have not read My Little Denarians, and I don't know if I will. It's just it's too dark, man.
Well, it feels kind of like there's two different alternate realities where Harry Dresden is in Equestria, and it's like, how do you read both of them and combine them? It's like you got to choose one or another.
Yeah, I can definitely see that problem. I was just going to say, I can understand you choosing human, but I think Jason the Human might be a little... he was on a couple weeks ago. Though, also, I think he listed it too.
Yeah. Well, we've all got our least favorites, and they often coincide with some of the... I mean, heck, I listed Shipping my very first time on here as one of my least favorites, and then, we do Allegrasia a while ago, which was actually a good pick. There are always ones that, rise above what we expect.
Yeah, definitely exceptions. I mean, really, if I'd say anything with, like, the sex of the gore tag on FemFiction would be even more of a turn-off there. I'm not a clock guy.
All right. How did you get your idea for your story? I guess I'm guessing in this case we'd be talking about A Teacher with No Class, which I still think is one of the best titles on the website.
It is a great one.
Yeah, it's a good pun. With that one, the basic idea was I had just been reading Paleo Prince, his story School Days, which is all about cheerleading. It's kind of a throwback to 80s school movies.
I want to read that one, but the weird thing is the title is the exact same thing as a terrible anime.
Oh, no. Ooh. Don't draw that parallel, please.
It'll end in that way. Yeah, I know.
Let me just say in its defense, however badly it may be titled, he actually wrote an 80s montage set to music, and that kind of blew me away.
Okay, I need to read this now.
And, the guy who wrote that is a teacher himself, and he kind of brought a lot of life to cheerleading in that story. And so I was like, I'm an education major. I'm almost done with college, going to go into credentialing soon. And I wanted to get, kind of take my own crack at writing cheerily. And so I wrote like 3 paragraphs of cheerily, and then Blue Blood just took over. I don't really know how. Poor guy.
Poor guy. That's very much, you're just like, man, I feel sorry for this guy. I should just make him the main character.
Yeah. Well, that happened, and then a lot of people were like, we really want to see a sequel. We want to know what happened when he goes into the forest. And I'm like, well, okay, but it's not going to be cheerful.
Yeah.
Definitely true. So what's your favorite aspect of your story? Or in this case, stories?
That's a good... I don't know, I gotta say. It's just been a lot of fun to write. Strange Destiny, which is probably the weakest part of it, but it was kind of an experiment for me to write just a completely non-heroic character in this kind of stereotypical fantasy thing where, like, oh, you have a destiny and you're the hero and you must save the kingdom, but you're really just a kind of a useless coward. So that was fun, kind of experimenting with that. Even though, I've gotten, that's probably the worst feedback that I've gotten on the stories.
Actually, I never think of it until you just mentioned it, but I know some people like to call Blue Blood an anti-hero, and with recent chapters, he almost is, but he has always been in the classical sense, classical anti-hero, a pathetic hero, one who sucks at it. And yeah, that's always been Blue Blood. So what advice do you have for any pony listening who really wants to write fan fiction but isn't quite sure how to start?
Well, I'd say just find something that you want to write and write it. That kind of goes with anything. Writing, I think, is kind of like a sport or something where you have to keep working at it. You have to keep flexing the muscles and building your strength. And if you slack off, it's harder to get back into it. So just write. If you have an idea that you want to write, if it's ponies that inspire you, if it's whatever that inspires you, just write. And maybe it won't be great, but keep confident at it. Keep trying to build your skills, and eventually you'll turn into a half decent writer.
Oh, good idea. So, who are your favorite professional authors, and how do you think they affect your writing?
The first one, number one, the god of modern literature would be Sir Terry Pratchett. I think he's kind of a master of the English language. He's just got this amazing ability to work with metaphors and similes and just kind of build use very specific words to kind of communicate exactly what he means, which is kind of the ideal point of language, I think. And then the other one, which we'll all cheer for, would be Jim Butcher, hands down.
Yeah. Woohoo.
He's literally my favorite author. Yeah,
I want to take his brain and put it in a jar and keep it on my desk and just have it give me ideas.
Yeah. I have a speech class right now, and I have to do an admiration speech. I did it on Jim Butcher, and I'm doing that in a couple days. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just gave me an excuse to research him more a little bit. So many great stories. I've heard the anecdote about him writing the Codex Alera series because someone bet him to write a story about Pokemon and the Roman Legion. Does that have any basis in reality? Yeah, he was on a podcast, and some guy bet him. He was talking about, which has always been one of my favorite things, the idea that you can take a crappy idea and write a good story out of it. And someone said that, one of the guys on the podcast said, that's not true. I bet you can't turn any crap idea into a good story. He's like, oh yeah? Name 2 random things right now, and I'll make it into a story. So the guy gave him Pokemon The Lost Roman Legion, and now we have a 6-book amazing book series. I love it.
That's impressive.
A lot of people think it starts off a little rocky, and while I would say the first book is the weakest, I'd also say that it's still really good. It still really hooked me into the universe, and the main character especially. I could not sing more praises about that series. I'm almost I wanted to tap into the Dresden Files, but that's another one where I'm like, okay, HBO, you need to make a mini-series of this right now.
Have you ever seen the TV show they did?
Yes, I of Dresden Files, I have. I have a lot of friends who really love it. I don't. I think it's all right.
Yeah,
I just watched it through recently. I actually only started reading the series a little while ago. I still need to read the second one, but I don't know. I enjoyed the show. I didn't think it was fantastic, but it was interesting.
They had one episode where a skin changer shows up, and as soon as they said skin changer, having a which book was it?
I know.
One of the later ones. I was like, oh my god, skin changer, yeah.
You're like,
crap, he's so screwed.
And then you're like, oh no, they did not, that book hadn't even been written at the time. So yeah. Oh god, the skin changers. Oh god. What is it? What's the nickname he gave it? Shag Nasty?
Yeah. Shag Nasty.
Oh, we've gotten so far off topic, but I don't really care. Oh, well.
Quite so.
That's always what you know something's good is happening. All right, so last question.
Shoot.
And normally I would ask for a sneak preview. I'm going to go a little further than that. Will there be a fourth story?
Oh.
There will not be a fourth story starring Blue Blood. And I don't plan to write anything else in kind of the Blue Blood universe for at least a while. I want to get back to kind of... I want to write a sequel to my Coins and Crowns story that like 300 people have read. But no, Blue Blood, I'm done tormenting him.
Okay. I guess I can count on the one hand. Oh, thank God, you won't put me into emotional because I want to like we're gonna get into a little bit, but I love your stories, but you kicked my heart in the ass, man. I'm sorry.
Blame Jim Butcher, man. I'm sorry. That's just too much of an influence.
If I were to rate it on the Jim Butcher scale, I'd say you got it to about proven guilty levels.
Oh gosh. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I always respect someone who's got a story that he's going to tell and, ends it when it's done. Dragging stuff on after the story's over never turns out well, so props to you for that.
Oh, I was kind of worried that Prince was... I was worried that Prince was going to end up being that, because I wasn't 100% sure I needed to write anything else, but I just kind of wanted to write, kind of finish up his story, with the curse and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, I'm okay with that. Although it will be sad, but I'm okay with it. I'm glad that you're gonna move on to other things. You're easily like after I like binged on all of it really quickly. You are one of my favorite fanfic authors right now. Seriously.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem. All right, so next we'll discuss Tragedy Fix. This is actually probably the tag I've read the least of. It was really hard scraping some fics for this one.
Yeah, I've been trying to do some homework too in preparation for this, and it's kind of hard.
Well, the thing I was noticing as I was trying to, because, I still only have so many fics under my belt at all, let alone Tragedy, but it seems like most seem to, like, I've noticed a few that are tagged with sad, but not tragedy, and there's only so much of a difference, but you get sad more than you get tragedy in terms of the tags.
Well, so. I think the big difference is tragedy doesn't have to make you sad. Tragedy just has to make you feel, may not bad, but it has to put you through emotional ringer of some sort.
Yeah.
And I guess the other big difference, a lot of people get this wrong about tragedy. I think you're one of the best examples with your stories. Tragedy does not mean a sad ending. Tragedy means it puts you through the emotional ringer. Things do not look well for your protagonist a lot of the time. Makes terrible decisions, and you're like, oh God, no, why would you do that? But that does not mean it has to end sadly. In fact, with you show you don't have, you can have a actually decently happy ending, a hopeful one, and
bittersweet.
Bittersweet. Maybe I'd say more sweet than bitter in your case, but still.
Well, we have yet to see that, I think.
Well, no, I'm saying, at least for the Destiny of French Blue Blood, it ended more, I'd say,
that's true.
Sweet. But yeah, I think that they're good, but I think that you have to know how to write emotionally. Like, because that's the whole point. I mean, compared to a lot of other genres, like, you have to know how to kick someone's heart in the ass. You have to be a Jim Butcher, a Stephen Moffat, someone who is able to write well enough to make you go, damn, this is kicking me. I don't like this. There should be a point where you curse the author. If you haven't cursed the author once, it isn't tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True enough.
I would say it is probably the least used tag overall in our fandom.
I think it's also got kind of a split between, like, there's two different interpretations of it, and I think the sad tag covers a lot of them, but not all.
Yeah.
Like, two different versions. Like, there's kind of mine, which is kind of, like you said, kind of a, I don't want to say classic tragedy because that sounds kind of stuck up, but, kind of a Greek or Norse tragedy where just bad stuff keeps happening, either because of their decisions or because they're cursed or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, the people that kind of aren't sure whether it's tragedy or sad. Like, I know it's not the most popular fanfic among us literary elites or whatever, but My Little Dashie, I think, would be tagged tragedy, or should be tagged tragedy, because it's
I can see that.
very much a tragic story. Yeah. But, then again, it's also, well, it kind of fits both criteria, I guess, but there's stories that are kind of like that are just sad, like somebody dies or something bad happens, and they tag it tragedy as well as sad or instead of sad, because I don't think there's a clear definition of exactly what the difference between tragedy and sad is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sadness as an emotion is very easily brought up in pretty much any genre, so I can see why that could be a little vague, perhaps.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know why. Like, I don't think a sad tag necessarily needs to exist. It doesn't really communicate specifically anything that's going on.
I mean, should we have a happy? Should we have a happy tag?
Yeah.
At this point, yeah, an angry tag. Oh wait, that already exists for me. It's called Grimdark.
Oh yeah.
All right, I guess we can move on now to talk about your series of fics. And yeah, I guess first, you're not the first author to do it for me. You're actually the second. But yeah, you really made me love Blue Blood. Like, he's my favorite side character pony. Like, and he can't not, because he's freaking Blue Blood. And the other guy did the exact same thing you did, where you go, wow, he's so pathetic. How about he realizes how pathetic he is and wants to change himself and tries really hard?
I think if they ever bring him back in the show with an actual speaking role and they want to redeem him at all, that's kind of what they're going to have to do, really.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there's that. I love the fact that he became friends not only with Cheerly and Big Mac, which I thought that those were both great friendships, but then with Cloud Kicker and Blossoms. Is it Blossom Forth? I can never get her name
Blossom
right.
Forth,
Yeah, Blossom Forth. That I just find it hilarious that Cloud Kicker was just. Can you remember the time when she was just another background pony that didn't even have a fan and personality?
Yeah.
And then Life and Times of a Winning Pony came out.
Yes.
Everything.
I have been actively trying to popularize that. I've gone on the My Little Pony Wikipedia entry for her and wrote in on the comments like, oh yeah, she has this personality thanks to Chingar Kordath, and like trying to popularize this on wherever I can, because really she deserves to be up there with Octavia and Vinyl Stretch and all that.
Yeah, dude, she totally does. I mean, she's basically, at least Sam will get this reference, she's like now become the Larry Butts of this community. She's just it's just womanizing.
Yes.
I like to think Cloud. I like to think she has a hard time keeping her job down personally. Like, she's just that. She's not very successful, but she's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so there's that. There's the again. Why do you hate us so much, Art? I mean, really, dude, really. You're not the only one we're going to be talking about today that does that, but Jesus, man. I mean, I think you have actually, surpassed the level you got to in Destiny. Like, where that moment, that with without spoiling it, the ritual, I was, no!
Yeah.
No!
Yeah. It's good stuff. I was honestly impressed the moment that I first read A Teacher Without Class. I had heard Roy ranting about this series a bunch, and when I finally read it in preparation for this podcast, I was very impressed by Teacher Without Class, just because I wasn't sure I believed him that Blue Blood had actually been made into a relatable character. And, I mean, he was a complete jerk in the show, but I guess I knew it was possible. I just didn't think it could have happened. But I was very impressed by that, and you did a great job of it. And then when it moved on, and it's surprisingly complex and emotional and really good. I mean, I marathoned up through a bit into the third story before and, just all at once, I think on Monday or something, and then I didn't get much of a chance to read throughout the rest of the week for a while, but I just, blazed through it. It was, I've really been enjoying it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I guess the only other comment I'd have is that I think the ending of Destiny might be one of my favorite endings to any fanfic ever, just because, not only does it have a great hopeful note, but just the way the big bad is defeated. I've never seen talking the monster to death has never been so freaking awesome.
That was pretty epic, yes.
He went Blue Blood went straight doctor level of being awesome. You're just like, what?
That was tough to write. I seriously spent a couple days just sitting there trying to figure out how the hell am I going to get him to actually win this, because I want him to actually be successful, but he can't do anything, and he's chained up to a freaking wall now. And I was really happy with the way my brain finally clicked and finally got him to talk him down, or up, or whatever direction you want to call it.
Yeah.
Someone rolled a 20 on a bluff check.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
All right, then. Now we can transition. This is actually a terrible transition, but I don't really care. Into talking about updates, or as we've now changed it, updates to fics we're currently reading, or just stuff we've read recently. So I'm going to go first with, I got a kind of a barrage.
Wait, does this happen after we talk about other fics in this genre, or are we changing the way this works now?
No, updates are always first.
Oh, okay. I guess I'd forgotten that.
You'd forgotten. God,
I'm tired.
You're tired. Shut up. All right. Sam, how about me and you bounce off each other on this, because we're sharing our last one.
Sure, that works.
All right, so I'll start off. I'm probably one of the many, many, many people who are happy this updated. The story called "Damn It, Twilight, I Love You" by Sam Cole. Really great ship. It had one chapter. It was 7,000 words though. So until you noticed that it said incomplete, you wouldn't have. It felt like a self-contained one-shot. And it was just that Rarity has fallen in love with Twilight, and she keeps trying to make her see it, but Twilight's so freaking oblivious. It's very hilarious in how comically oblivious. What if she just runs into the library and goes, "Twilight, I love you," and she's like, "I love you too, best friends forever." She's like, oh god. And then, so the next chapter came out, which was even longer. And, it was amazing. Thank you, Sam Cole. Not only does it have some, again, just as hilarious as the first chapter, and I really like he poked, I kind of liked it, he poked fun at Pinky Dash, but I like Pinky Dash, so I was kind of like, this is hilarious, but at the same time, how dare you? It is a great ship. How dare you? But it was really good. It was actually really great. Can't wait for more because it's still incomplete, and I'm like, where are you going to go from here? So, Sam, what do you
Okay. Well, I've still got more new fics that I had just managed to find and or read than updates. I'm working on that. My list of, seriously, I'm reading more and more fics, and my list of in-progress fics that are bookmarked is getting longer and longer, but still only so many tend to update. So I went on a FimFiction spree and just found a bunch of one-shots that seemed interesting. And I found some awesome ones, some of which might actually, I think I might have heard of them before, I'm not sure. I read one today. It's called Pinky Watches Paint Dry.
I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, apparently some random guy told this author, it's Absolute Anonymous is the author's name, and apparently someone told him that he could write a story about Pinky watching paint dry and weave it into an incredible psychological journey. And so he tried to do just that. And it's just, I don't want to ruin exactly how he manages to, but yeah, it's pretty short, but it is just that. That's the whole setup, is Pinkie Pie just painted a room and she's watching all the paint dry and thinking about stuff. And it's actually really interesting.
Wow.
That is on my read list.
Yeah, and it's super short. It's just 2,500 words, so, I highly recommend that one.
And updated once again, always happy when it does, Why Am I Pinkie Pie? By Hoopy McGee. Another really good update with a hilarious ending. Oh my god. Anyone who's read it knows what I'm talking about. That should go on Cliffhanger fanfiction list of the best ones ever, because that was perfect. And just generally it was another really funny episode. And yeah, I keep enjoying that one. That one is, I just I think I mentioned this. Okay, so, Kevon, have you ever heard of this one before?
Why the hell am I Pinkie Pie? Or?
Yeah.
I have heard of it, and I think it's actually on my watch list, along with tons of other stuff that I really need to read. But I have not actually read it yet. I
would definitely recommend it. One of my favorite things is this. The quote-unquote doctor who keeps trying to sedate her and literally keeps poking her in the ass with a needle. She keeps commenting why do you keep doing that to sedate her? And so she starts nicknaming in his head, in his/her head, calling him Dr. Needles. And then she finds out that's his actual name. And she's just like, wait a second, that's his name. Oh my god, I feel terrible now. Okay, I should give him a much sillier nickname that could never happen. But yeah, that's just great. So what do you got, Sam?
Well, another random one I found. Now, someone in the comments said something about a story like this existing elsewhere, and I know I'm certainly not the one to... I mean, if it probably does, and I hadn't heard of it or something, but still, it just started. There's only one chapter up. It's called Pinky in the Brain, and as much as I was somewhat saddened that it's not actually a Pinky in the Brain crossover or anything, yeah, the idea is that Pinkie Pie randomly at a flea market in Ponyville finds a strap-on unicorn horn that she puts on her head, and that actually apparently works. And so basically the whole premise is just, Pinkie Pie with magic. So
I saw a comic of that. She ended up ending the world.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how this one ends up too. I mean, the first chapter's pretty innocuous. She just, she realizes, I can make 100 cupcakes at once, and just, goes nuts with it. She also manages to encase herself in chocolate, slice it down part way, and then put it back together after she steps out of it so that she has a chocolate Pinkie Pie, life size. Because what else is Pinkie Pie going to do with magic?
That is perfect.
Yeah, so it seems pretty interesting, and it has potential, so I'll be watching that.
Okay.
Seeing as it goes on.
And then, before we do our shared one, my last one will be, always having this updates as well, Vinyl and Octavia University Days. Woo! Thank you, Dawn Fade. Oh, God. Another hilarious update. Actually, this time I actually got an OC pony. Everyone was surprised. He was like, listen, you must understand, don't worry, you have to trust me. This will actually work out. And I trust Dawn Fade. He's a really good writer, or she's a really good writer. I actually don't know. But yeah, so I completely trust him/her when it comes to OC Pony in this fic, because this fic is freaking great. When it comes to just sheer funny, it's probably one of the best, if not the best, ship fic I've ever read. And I also like that, unlike some other ones, it's more Octavia Vinyl than Vinyl Octavia, which is a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
I've
read the vinyl scratch tapes, and I was kind of like, well, do I need to read more? But that sounds interesting, because the vinyl scratch tapes are very much vinyl. Like almost.
I do really love vinyl scratch tapes. That will be brought up again sometime soon. Don't worry about it. Hinting at it now. All right. Sam?
Okay. I found one that, honestly, at first I didn't get it, but then the more I read it, the more... Basically, it was written all the way back in January. It's called A Perfectly Ordinary Day in Ponyville. It's a pretty, just under 5,000 words, pretty quick one-shot. And basically, the author is just poking fun at how it seems in both the episodes and the fan fiction that something dramatic and ridiculous is going on in Ponyville all the time. Yeah. So, it starts off with Twilight Sparkle waking up, and she has wings. And she's just kind of like, oh, okay. And then, just goes throughout the whole day, and all this crazy stuff is going on, and she's just reacting to it like it's completely normal, and, it's all just crazy and insane. It's a pretty fun little work of satire, if you don't mind a quick little one-shot of incredible randomness. It's pretty fun.
And, okay, now for a shared one. One we were waiting for. Our show friend has finally updated again. Finally. My Little Chrono.
Triggers are magic.
By Pav Fiera. Yes. Oh, yeah. 2 chapters.
Yes.
At the same time.
Yes.
That should be illegal. All right, so.
Such concentrated awesome. And you know what? I still haven't read them. Seriously, as soon as we get off here, I am reading them. I know. I just found it earlier today, and I still had, no tragedy fix to talk about or anything. And I'm like, oh, no. So.
Oh, my God, man.
I kept reading them. I know. I'm working on it.
Applejack is so awesome.
Applejack's finally there? Yes. Okay.
Applejack's there. There's some confronting with some issues that have been hinted at. There is... I can't spoil it. Something hilarious happens at the end of the second chapter. Oh, my God. It's so good.
Okay.
It's one of the best updates in a while. I'm completely happy with this one.
That is wonderful. I do look forward to reading it. I love that story.
There's some other quick ones I want to mention about it. First of all, he did something interesting with Trixie that I didn't expect him to do, but at the same time, that I didn't expect him to do, but it was like, wow. I didn't expect this, but this works. And then totally subverted it the next second.
Oh gosh.
It's so perfect. And then another one was making fun of Apple Dash, which okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm completely okay with that being parodied.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, that was really great. As always, Pav is always welcome on this show, and his fanfics. So, kind of neglected. Kavande, has anything you read update often, or are you one of those authors who doesn't read that much?
I read a decent amount, but not nearly as much as I'd like to. I've got, like I said, a ton of stuff on my read later list. Chingar Kordath, I'm a big fan of his. Life and Time of the Winning Pony updated, and then we got the penultimate chapter of Flight of the Alicorn, which I hope you are planning to read at some point.
It's on my list. Hey. Stop bugging me.
I will stop as soon as everybody on the planet has read it. It is seriously fantastic.
I don't think I've heard of that one, actually. It's going on my bookmarks.
It's like a race with airships, and it's Rarity and Prince Blueblood. It's apparently novel length, and it's the first of 3 of them.
If he plans a trilogy, I don't know if he'll ever actually get to writing it, but I hope he does.
Crap. Yeah, okay.
It's at 200,000 words at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's not done.
It's seriously great. It's got this whole kind of a steampunk kind of aesthetic to it, and like this really high adventure. He makes Rarity this great heroic character.
Huh.
It's just really great.
And it's supposed to be the first of a trilogy?
Yeah.
Dang, that's that's
not only that
scale plan there. That's kind of nuts. Okay.
Oh well, not only that, he's been working with an author. He's got like tons of concept art of the airships and the story that he's been posting. He's planning on like self-publishing a hardcover version of it once he's got it edited.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean the dude's ambitious and he's seriously a talented writer. And the story, I can't say enough good stuff about the story. So
awesome. Yeah. You mentioned in a blog where you're like, anyone who hasn't read this has to do it now. And then I went to it and I was like, I'm not sure. And then I saw Blue Blood. I went, all right, I'm done. Yeah. I gotta read it now.
Blue's in that. He is a great character in it too. He doesn't, he's not my Blue Blood, but he's a great version of Blue Blood.
Everyone has their own Blue Blood. Everyone has their own of every character, and that's what's so fun about the fandom. Mm-hmm. In my fix, Vinyl Scratch is also a genius. Like, she's a blue-red magic character. Completely insane, but a genius at the same time. Because I think that's the best way to do Vinyl Scratch.
Huh.
All right, so next we get to move on. We've got to talk about Tragedy Fix. Usually we talk about ones we recommend. This time just generally recommend, but...
You didn't find enough ones that you actually liked, did you?
Okay, kind of. So, first one is Discordant by Evra09.
I still need to read that one.
I can't say enough good things. Very much compare it to your fix, Kavande, because that really puts you through the emotional ringer. You're just like, God damn it, Scootaloo, why do you hate me? But it's really well done. It's the only time I've actually seen the elements of Discord thing really work. And I mean really work. And damn, that is a great story. As I've mentioned a couple times, there's a sequel which is currently updating, which I'm really enjoying. And it doesn't look as dark as this one. I don't think it has a tragic tag, at least not yet. He might surprise us, which... I think there are hints that Sweetie Belle might be leading a cult in the future, and if that's what's happening, I will be so mad.
Rakazad is a perfectly normal pony.
Sweetie Belle is... Why would you do that to me? Another one, this one I'll talk a little about because it's, again, I do recommend you read it. It's called The Three Sisters by Wanderer D.
Oh, dang it, dude. You had to steal one of mine.
Did you read it too?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I'll talk about it, then you talk about it, okay? So
okay.
I don't know if I'd say I liked it. I think that it was interesting. I have no idea why the tragedy was in it at all. I don't know why that's a tag on it.
Really?
Completely. Yeah, to me, I didn't see any tragedy. It never touched me emotionally. I thought it had some interesting concepts. I think some of the writing was good, especially in the backstory with Chrysalis's older sister. Mm-hmm. I think that was written very well. But a lot of it, I felt like he had come up with this really interesting idea, and he couldn't wait to explain it to me. And I was sitting here going, you shouldn't be explaining this to me. You should be giving me some pathos, man. You should be putting me through the ringer, and you're just explaining a good concept. And I didn't feel emotionally invested. I still recommend people read it, because I do think the idea was really good. It's, for those of you who don't know, basically it turns out Rarity's a changeling. That's basically that's just the idea. Rarity is a changeling, and she's literally she's Chrysalis's younger sister. And there's a sequel which they call Extended Family. It's all right. I think I removed it from my favorites or watch or whatever. I'm really sorry, Wanderer D, but I just didn't care that much. I really feel terrible saying it, but I don't. Oh, sorry. If you're listening, I'm really sorry, Wanderer D. Maybe your other fic I have that I'll talk about later. Maybe that will make me forgive you. So what did you think of it?
Well, I liked it more than you did, it seems. I would agree that I wasn't particularly emotionally invested in it, but I could see why the tragedy tag is on there simply because, from an objective viewpoint, the events and the story being told in there are pretty tragic, even if they didn't particularly tug at my heartstrings, so to speak. But the
heartstrings?
Yes, exactly, my Lyra heartstrings. But yeah, the main thing is that I'd kind of agree. I hadn't thought of it kind of in the same way that it seemed like the author was just explaining it to us, because I did feel like the author was in fact trying to tell a story, but it did feel too short. Like there was room for a big multi-part fic, and it just got kind of shoved into one thing. And I think it has more potential than it tapped into is all. I think that if it was extended and explained over a longer period of time and more developed, then it would have been a lot better. But it is really interesting in any case. The idea was kind of strange to me at first, but I really liked it the more I read. And I would take a similar stance. Has more potential than it successfully cashed in on, but I would recommend giving it a read. It's an interesting one. And now that I know there's a sequel, I will be reading that in short order as well.
Okay, then. So you have anything else?
Oh, yeah, more tragedy fics?
Yeah, more tragedy fics.
Yeah, okay. I did read one called Tears of a Goddess. It's basically, that I don't want to ruin too much, but essentially it's about Celestia thousands of years after the show takes place, dealing with both mourning and regret in her accidental part of the death of Twilight Sparkle way back when.
Huh.
And, it's a pretty sad one, and just a very, very interesting one. I'm not sure, if you're looking for a, full story with, a good ending and happy, uplifting stuff, this really, really, really is not it. But,
tragedy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, the two tags on it are tragedy and sad. So, when it's when it's a sad tragedy and nothing else, it's going to be sad and tragic, I guess. But yeah, it was an interesting one. I would recommend giving it a read. It's not too long. It's about 8,000, 9,000 words. So yeah, I'd say give it a try. Just be ready for one that's it's a downer. It's good, but it's a downer.
Okay, and Kavande, would you have any tragedy fics that you'd like to recommend, if you can?
Yeah, well, I tried to do some homework. I haven't gotten to finish reading this one yet, but I've been reading Equestria's Twilight by Sapidus III. And I'm not all that far into it yet, but it seems really promising. The idea is basically, at some point within the last 50 or 60 years, something happened to Celestia and Luna, and Twilight had to take over as the princess, but she doesn't have their power. She doesn't have the same raw amount of power. And so Equestria is kind of gradually shrinking. It's kind of just being taken over. She can't raise the moon or the stars or anything. She can only barely raise the dimmest sun, and even that just nearly drains her. It's seems like it's really going to be good. It's got like an elderly Rainbow Dash who's kind of looking for a replacement, to kind of head up the Royal Guard because she knows she's going to be gone soon. Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Like I said, I'm not too far into it yet, but really liking what I'm reading.
Definitely, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So, the next order of the show is something interesting. With my interest you, Kavande. We're going to talk about non-pony fics that are tragedy, which actually that's also I guess it isn't just our fandom. Tragedy is a somewhat rare tag among all fandoms. I think. I think it depends on, there's certain fandoms where maybe just because of the source material there's a ton of it, but at least on the ones I frequent, I'm a much more uplifting guy than that. That's the kind of guy I am. So, mine's a little weird. I got Hit List by Zesty Crouton, which is one of the coolest usernames I've ever heard.
I was about to say, that's awesome.
So, Hit List, this might sound familiar at first to Sam. It's a high school AU of Zelda.
Yeah.
But done completely differently. Instead of being all slice of life and fun, one day Link's going to school. His best friends at the time are Midna and Sheik, and this is Zelda's first day at school. But he barely even knows her. I think he meets her a couple times at first. But what happens is Ganondorf just got out of juvie, and he and all of his cronies that are basically a cult. I know, that's hilarious.
That has got to be one of the best lines ever spoken.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but so him and his cronies, who are basically a cult, and they are comprised of every Zelda villain on any level of badness from every game. They are going Columbine on this freaking school.
Oh gosh!
And it's up to Link to save the day because he got to school late. And it's freaking awesome. It is seriously amazing. And yeah, it is very tragedy. So, and including the fact that it seems that Sheik is helping Ganondorf for reasons you find out later. And you're like, what? I think that might be a reference to the Ocarina of Time manga, where Sheik seems to be working for Ganondorf up to a point, but might not be. I don't know. But yeah, that is I highly recommend that. It ended, but I don't think I actually got to the ending. I got to like the penultimate chapter, and then I found out it updated, and I had so much stuff that updated, I just didn't get to read it. So I'll have to go back and read it. And my other one is going to interest Sam greatly. The Tales of Republic City by DJNS.
Yes, I still need to read that one.
Yeah, so it's similar to the Avatar episode Tales of Bossing Say, where it focuses on
Fantastic.
Small little. Yeah, and so it's it hops sometimes from months to years of just Avatar Aang and Katara and their family's life in Republic City throughout the years, and it does deserve the tragedy tag because it gets pretty freaking sad and pretty oh my god what the hell is happening at points. But it is really good, and it has a great ending. It ends where you would think you have to guess it would end, but it's kind of foregone conclusion. But still, it is really well done, and I really love one of my favorite parts is where Boomy tells Katara, I joined the United Forces. What? And then he's like, yeah, and I'm kind of leaving tomorrow. And she's just like, what? And Katara, as you can imagine, Katara is pretty freaking pissed.
Oh boy, yeah.
And then when he's saying goodbye to his family, his moment with Tenzin is fantastic. Like, it is some of the best written sibling bonding I've seen in a long time. And overall, what it did for Tenzin was great. I think, considering that we now have canon stuff of Boomy, it fits. But it fits him. It doesn't fit Kaya from what we've heard from the Comic-Con, though. Because she doesn't seem very... Maybe she became kind of a hippie in her old age, but now she doesn't seem like that much of a hippie in the fic. But oh well.
Yeah.
Still pretty freaking awesome. I highly recommend any Avatar fans of either Korra, Last Airbender, anything. Seriously, you need to read it.
And anyone who isn't an Avatar fan, what are you doing with your life? Fix this
Seriously.
immediately.
So glad to have a guest on who also loves Avatar.
Oh man, I actually just rewatched the first season of Korra just a couple days ago.
Oh really?
So good, right?
Yeah.
I think I've seen it either 3 or 4 times now. Yeah. What was Well, yeah, I think it was Psychic Scuba Diver, where me and Say were making references to it, like, oh yeah, it is. And he was like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
We kicked him off the show right at that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it would be understandable.
All right, so Sam, what do you have? Oh wait, never mind. You don't have anything.
Yeah, no, I still don't. I still have nothing. I have nothing if not consistent.
I know. Kavande, do you have any non-pony tragedy stuff you could recommend?
Actually, I do not. I was kind of away from all fan fiction for a long time before the ponies inspired me to start writing again. So I have not been up on anything in any of the other communities.
All right, so it's time for emails. Yay!
Wait, so do you have emails?
Again, I know. I think we're gonna have emails more often.
That's nice.
First off, we got Omar Balbueno or Buena. I don't know. Sorry if you mispronounced your name. Please don't be offended. It didn't have a subject, and it's literally 3 sentences. It just says, "My little chrono of mares and magic. Friendship was magic." I'm guessing he's recommending these fics to us, which, first of all, we already talked about My Little Chrono. It's amazing. If you've ever played Chrono Trigger, or even if you haven't, you need to read it.
So
it is
true.
one of the best crossovers and one of the best adventure fics in this fandom.
For that matter, if you want to get the story of Chrono Trigger, but don't actually want to play the game for some strange, demented reason.
Yeah, what's wrong?
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, this is a good enough adaptation of it that I would seriously say that if you're familiar enough with ponies to understand it, just read this fic and it will be a fantastic substitute for the story. It is really good. So, yeah,
so
it's good.
I actually tracked down all the ones he was talking about. So, of Mares and Magic, that isn't actually the title of the fic, the title of the chapter of the Sweetie Belle Chronicles Fragments by, oddly enough, or mentioned earlier, Wanderer D.
That's where I know him from. Okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to read this. I read the description, and I hear Sweetie Belle travels the multiverse looking for Twilight Sparkle. I'm like, oh my god, my Magic the Gathering sense is tingling. However, I read on, and I'm like, it doesn't seem like they're using the multiverse thing well, where it's like, go post-apocalyptic Equestria, or everyone's the wrong gender Equestria, or someone claims to be a human, and I'm like, And then, yeah, again, Wanderer D. I've read something of his/hers now. Didn't really like it. And then it has 6 tags on it. I'm sorry, but maybe it's just my experience. But when you have 6 tags on your story, are you sure you're not grasping a little bit? Because it's romance, sad, dark, comedy, crossover, adventure. I'm like, listen, dude. There's a reason we make fun of robot ninja pirates. It's because it's a silly concept. You add too many adjectives, and it goes crazy.
Are you sure that's the story that was being referenced, though? I just Googled of Mares and Magic and found a story about Trixie on Equestria Daily.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I might have been... Okay, I might have totally screwed that up. It's my fiction.
Also,
I'm
pretty sure Prince of Ponyville has like 6 tags, too. So.
No, it doesn't have 3.
At some point it did.
No. And even if it's you're good. So okay, hold on. I'm gonna end this conversation right now. I'm gonna look. Okay, it's 5. That is not 7. That's not 7. Okay, so since I now know what you're actually talking about, Omar, normal shipping sad, Trixie shamed, tries to gain her own respect. That's actually kind of interesting. I've never really been into Twixie, and by really I mean it's maybe the only ship I'm kind of against, and even then I think it could be written well. I just never have seen it done, and yeah, I would really like to see this done well. However, I don't know. But, so, you recommend that. I'll give you that fair props. And then another one, Friendship Was Magic. I've actually heard of this by Error732.
Yeah,
it's tragedy, sad, dark, so I guess it actually fits this week. It's following the assassination of Princess Celestia. There's a long night. Apple Bloom goes around and finds the true face of the elements of harmony. We're all apparently in terrible states. And, yeah, so pretty freaking sad. Yeah,
I was interested in one way or another as soon as I heard following the assassination of Princess Celestia. So I don't, I'll have to see that.
I'm going to say, I'm really sorry, Omar. I don't think I'm ever going to read it because I look...
Gloria the Wind for sad fics.
No, sad and dark are like poison tags for me a little bit, and so I look at that image, and I see Apple Bloom starved looking at the castle, and I really don't want to read that. I'm really sorry. But that.
Don't worry, Omar. I'll read it.
Okay, yeah. He's my slave. He'll read it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Roy commands.
Friendship. And then, Sam, this might sound familiar, this name. Cody Fett. A.k.a. that guy from last week.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, he emailed again. And actually, because he was a little, as he mentioned, a little angry about it, I'm going to actually read his entire email.
Oh, boy. Okay.
This might be good.
Hello, sirs. CMF here again. I was surprised to hear my message read aloud on the podcast. Thankful that y'all had nothing bad to say. I was a little peeved that you blokes... Hold on, I'm going to move this out of the way. The heck? Oh my god, my computer's freezing.
Did we just have y'all and blokes in the same sentence?
I know, what?
That's
a little
epic.
peeved you blokes didn't mention any of the fics I recommended in any coherent manner. A bit meh on you. I was relieved that you guys turned out to be a very reasonable pair of chaps in your discussion of most hated fics. After last week's podcast, I was worried I was going to have to rant explaining why TCB, the Conversion Bureau, is the most reviled fic series on spacebattles.com in exquisite detail, something that would have been ironically topical for episode 10. I'll be continuing to listen to your podcast for upcoming weeks. Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
As a side note, I'm bummed because I missed your crossover episodes because that's my favorite genre. Speaking of which, I have some recommended fics here. He has All-American Girl, Be Human, the All-American Girl side stories, Admiral Tiger Claw's stories, all of them, and Writing History. Which, hold on, I want to look, I think I looked at that. I think that was, at least the title was interesting. Yeah, some kind of dark adventure in looks like a post-apocalyptic world, I think, with terrorists and sultry griffins. What? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Here's a rec, only one that has to do with your discussion of tragedy. It's one of my least favorite genres, and so I don't have a lot of material. The Youth in the Garden is one of those materials. It's a short story that's really well at what it does. While I never feel it shoehorned in darkness that goes against any of the characters' personalities. Those characters are Fluttershy, and a real-life soldier during the Civil War who was listed MIA during the Battle of Antietam? I'm sorry.
Antietam.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Someone who actually knows things about American history. At least according to the muster roll from the author used. Yes, all the characters are real people that the author took from the documents that he studied personally. And that should tell you how serious he was about getting this right. That's all for now. Then he had an addendum email to that. Okay, sorry, blah, blah. Sorry, I should have mentioned about Be Human. The side story anthology I mentioned is open to submissions from anyone. It's an open universe like the one I mentioned last week that I'm trying to get started on another fic. Let's see here. Biggest difference is this one takes place in the future of both worlds. The main six are in their 60s. Oh, that's kind of funny. Main six 60s. And the world is on the brink of World War III by the time the story sets around 2047. If you want to write a story about Rarity trying to enter Earth's fashion scene, tearing up, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So basically there are rules to it. But, yes, thank you. I always love looking for shared universes. I don't think I'll ever want to write in that one, though. I think he mentioned we're kind of different here. I am not a militaristic or dark writer, so that's pretty much what Be Human seems to be. And not my kind of thing. So that is all the emails we have this week. If you would like to email us, you have comments, questions, concerns, criticism, help, anything, send it to the Brony Bookclub at yahoo.com. That has been it for this week. Next week, kind of appropriate because what Kavani accidentally mentioned earlier, though he had no idea. Next week, and we're having on the author of My Little Dashie, which means that in the intermittent week, I'm going to have to read it. So everyone, and also,
I liked it. You got to deal with it.
Yeah. Can I? Because I kind of bashed on it earlier. I'm a big enough of a softie that I actually really liked it, and it hit me where it hurt. But it does have some pretty serious grammatical errors and plot holes. It's not a well-constructed story, but the emotional impact I thought was pretty, good.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, since you guys are being open about that, I'll mention I actually did cry today. Doctor Who mid-season finale got me right where it hurt.
Tears.
I don't think I've ever cried at Doctor Who before, but wow. That was really, really, really emotional. Oh. So, another off-topic thing to end up this really oddly off-topic episode. So, thank you for being on. As I suspected, you were a pleasure to have on. Odd little note, I don't know if you noticed looking at our Skypes, but for the first time ever, all three of the people on this podcast are in the same state. He's in Bakersfield, and me and Sam are in Chico, so that's weird.
Whoa.
California Pride!
Yeah. Nice to be working when we don't need to deal with an 8 or 9 hour time difference.
Oh. I really liked having him on. The author we had from, was it the Netherlands? Oh, that was hell to schedule.
Mm-hmm. I'd imagine, yeah.
Kevon, thank you for being on our show.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for having me. I've got to say, I just got kind of interviewed for something I wrote. That's literally one thing off my bucket list. So thank you, seriously.
Awesome.
Well, I'm glad we could fulfill that. Sam, always great to have you on.
Yay.
As the co-host. Yes.
Always great to be here.
Always great to be here. So, goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Adios.